everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. It's the third one, right? Number 3.
Wow.
I got some friends with me again tonight. I got Joe Ott, Dave Potosnak, and Patrick James McCloskey. I am your host, Corey Brown.
Thank you.
If that matters.
There may have been a different Corey that showed up.
Well, most people know me as Corey as Zapp, so
Yeah.
I had
Are you ever thinking about changing your last name to @Zapp?
I tried, but Facebook said no, you're not real.
Yeah.
Fix it. I said,
It's like, oh no.
Yeah,
you can call me Corey. Mr. @Zapp is my father.
I was Corey at Zapp for a year, and they were like, "Wait a minute, you can't sign on until you fix this." So now our nickname is Zapp Comics. But anyways,
Cool nickname.
you know, of course, I work in a comic store. I own a comic store. I'm sorry,
Which one?
Zapp Comics. But
the one you're at.
you know, of course, one of the biggest selling items in the store the past 5 or so years, it's very mainstream now, is Walking Dead. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I was very anti-Walking Dead years ago because I'm not a zombie fan. Not a big fan of zombies. A lot of customers, including yourself, Joe, always like, dude, you got to read this book, man. You read Invincible, you got to read Walking Dead. I'm like, I don't like zombies. It's like, it's not a zombie book. And a good friend of mine, Ralph, who moved to Georgia, I think he lives in Georgia now, he was like, listen, there's 2 islands. There's a bunch of people on an island, and the other island has the food. Every now and then you have to go to the other island to get something. You have to go to the water. The zombies are sharks in the water. I was like, okay, you're more worried about the guys that you're with than the sharks, you know. So when I read it like that, I think they were on issue like 50 when I started reading, and I caught right up real fast. I read up to issue 100. I no longer read it. It's not because it's bad. The story was just done for me. You know, losing Glenn. I know Patrick still hasn't recovered from that.
Boy.
But you know, losing Glenn in that issue 100 was big. But to me, the story was done. I still love it. I always push the trades. You know, I don't need to push it because it sells anyways. So Walking Dead is a top seller. It should be. I still know what goes on because I talk to people. I know exactly what's going on in the show and obviously the book.
You can't not know at this point.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, the book, I recommend the first 8 to 10 volumes of that book, especially right up to the governor part, amazing. And Fear of the Hunters, amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's really good. But I don't watch the show.
Why not, man?
The first season, I enjoyed it. It wasn't good. It was okay. It was, you know, I'm not a TV guy, so I'm not knocking the show. I didn't like the acting on it. It was a little.
Well, Andrea's dead now, so
Yeah, thank
I
God.
believe that they act.
That's a good point.
And then season 2, I watched
don't
like
know
the
if she's
first 2
acting.
episodes of season 2, and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. My biggest beef was if you set rules in the universe, you got to keep them. So they're like, don't make any sound, because in the season 1, when the car alarm's going off, and they're like, yo, what are you doing? Like, it's going to attract all this sound. One of the opening scenes in season 2 is Daryl on a chopper with cut pipes, which vibrate for miles, going down an open highway with short sleeves on, and he uses a crossbow to be quiet.
Blasting
I know,
Skinner.
I know it looks kind of cool, like on
Throwing
screen,
hand
but
grenades.
it doesn't make any sense.
It's unrealistic,
Yeah.
they would say. Right?
Well, we're talking about zombies, but still, you know what I mean? Don't set something up like that. And like when they go to the church in season 2, and the grass is perfectly cut, and the bell keeps going off. I'm like, that thing would be flooded with zombies, and the grass wouldn't be, you know, perfectly, you know, nice and cropped. So stuff like that bothers me. So I gave up on the show.
All right.
Plus, I couldn't stand Lori or Andrea or
Okay.
Carl, the acting. In the book, Andrea's my favorite character.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Carl is my least favorite everywhere you go, no matter what it is.
Oh, little
So
Carl.
I know, like, listen, I'm obviously in the minority. I'm not bashing the show. I just don't. It's not my thing.
Well,
It just had 15.8 million people watch the season finale,
it's a bunch of people.
which is a lot of people.
It's like some TV zombies in real life.
Yeah. So, like, why is this show so big?
It's got zombies.
I know. I understand that, but like,
Zombie, USA. That's the
I
new
know. But you
American
got
Pie,
like
baby.
12-year-olds watching it. Pat's gonna be 22. He watches it. You're 30. You watch it like crazy. Even if you don't like it, you still watch it.
Every time
You
he's
still
on
watch it,
here,
Dave,
you're
or
just
no?
like, this is everybody's age. We should make
Because
like
I want to know they can't. You know, it's a big difference. You know.
It is, you're right.
in Zapp Comics,
You know, do
we
you
have a
still
height
watch it?
chart
Do you still
in
watch
the
it?
back door. No, I stopped. Everybody at work my other job, they like hound me. They're like, "You work at a comic book shop. You're gonna love Walking Dead." And they're like, well, "How can you not watch it?" And I'm like, "Well, let's see. The first season was really cool. So I was so into the show before it even came on. The first Comic-Con, I waited in line an hour and a half, which isn't insane for Comic-Con, but just to get in, and they showed the second and third episode with the entire cast. And I was really pumped that one of the actors of Boondock Saints was going to be there, which shows how ridiculous it is, because who's
in Boondock Saints?
Daryl?
Oh, I've never seen it. I heard there was a
Exactly.
chick flick. Never watched it.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Boondock
It's
Saints.
about Irish
never
guys
seen
who
Boondock.
murder people.
I've never
No.
seen it, but it's
Like
not a
Hitman.
chick flick.
No, dude.
Are you thinking about something else?
No, Boondock Saints with the cross on the cover of the DVD case, right?
I don't know. I've
Yeah.
never seen it.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not a chick flick. I know that.
Oh,
Look at
maybe
the
I'll
phone.
check it out now. I need a recommendation.
You have to check it out. But I went there, I saw it, I was so pumped. The first season was awesome. The second season, not so much. The third season, and then people were like, "Dude, fourth season," and I'm like, "Let me put it like this." So you have this really really good friend in like elementary school, and you guys like hang out, and it's awesome. Then first day of middle school, he punches you in the face.
That is a good way.
But then he's like, "You know what? We all change. Everything's cool." You go to high school. You get into high school. He sees you, just kicks you in the balls. The third season was even worse.
Damn.
And then they were like, "Yo, man, we're all going to the same college. Super cool now." And I'm like, he's going to kick me in the balls again. So that's why I stayed so far away from it. And you know what? I did catch up on the fourth season, and it really did pick up. I think Terminus, what season? That was... These half seasons throw me off, too.
This season, it was just last.
It's like,
it
what
was
is
last
it?
year.
What are we on now?
Five.
Five? So it's 5A. Was really good, action-packed, and it actually felt like Walking Dead in the first season. I could see the story arcs and the characters. Andrea's dead, thank God.
She's dead in the show?
Wow.
Yeah, she's dead in the show. Wait, she
Andrea and Dale both dead very early in the show. Both and Andrea's still alive in the books. You know,
Well, the
she's
reason
great.
why Dale's dead in the show is because he was the highest paid actor on the show.
couldn't afford him, right? Jeff DeMunn.
No, they just don't want. They want to pay money. They don't want
my
to
God.
pay the money.
Well, they're making a lot. He was my favorite character in the book.
I hated him in the book.
Really?
Yeah, he was a wine bag.
I liked him, and I liked Andrea and Dale's
Andrew's awesome.
thing in
Andrew's
the
my
book,
favorite,
They
too.
didn't even. They said forget it on the show. They're like, nope, not gonna happen.
And-
Well,
Andrea
it was
was
so
awesome.
cool because Dale stood for the old morals and the old way that we used to do things. And that's something why my favorite character was Herschel. I really like Herschel.
Yeah, Herschel kind of took that on. That
He-
role around.
yeah.
Is
They were
Herschel on the
just
show?
Who do we still have? Who's not making any
Not
money?
anymore.
You're Dale.
Oh, he died. Herschel's dead.
He
Oh,
passed.
Herschel's the old guy.
Yeah.
Governor
yeah.
decapitated
I'm sorry.
him on
I
the
was
show.
thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking of.
Chopped
I'm
off.
sorry. I was thinking of Abraham. I'm sorry.
Spoilers all over this podcast.
Is Abraham still alive
By the way,
in the
guys, if you
show?
in the show?
Yeah.
Obviously.
you
in
don't
the
know
book.
what's going to happen. Just
We're
listen
beyond
to
the
this.
spoiler alert.
It's fine.
We hope you've watched all the episodes of The Walking
No,
Dead.
listen. I'm sorry. Walking Dead 100 came
April
out like 4
Fools.
years ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. Pat, when did you start from the beginning, or did you catch up later?
I caught up later on both. Yeah.
Now, are you a fan of the show, or you just watch it?
At a point, I always felt like I was just watching it just to watch it, but like I started to like it again. It's pretty good. This last season was pretty good. I think.
You know what? I think if I wasn't around it all the time, because every time I'm in the store, somebody's talking about it. I don't feel like I need to watch it, even if it was good. I just don't. I'm like, I get a fill of it. I don't need to go home and watch Walking Dead. I hear about it all day, so I think that's kind of what it is. And I don't know. I'm glad it does well because listen, I love that book. I really do.
Sure.
And it does. I know right now they're like 5 years ahead in the book.
Yep.
Which at first I thought was annoyed me, but when you explained to me why, it's because they were kind of stable and they just kind of grew in their own community.
You wouldn't have wanted to read
no.
those 5 years. It
So
would
that's
be
fine.
pointless.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's why
I actually like that because then it made the book progress. Because he said he's never going to tell the what causes it, right?
No, never gonna tell.
Which is fine.
Yeah, I don't care, but I
Doesn't
don't want to
matter.
read them about them being in a village for 3 years either.
Well, that's why I stopped the book at that point. Once All Out War ended, because it was the same story over, and they promised something. It was twice a week. It was
Oh, yeah.
14 issues, and at the very end, nothing happened. And they
It was like
were
a
just
Marvel
like, "Hey
crossover.
guys, we got the bad guy. We put him in jail."
That's it. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they were like, "What happens next issue?" And they were like, "You know that guy in jail? It's 5 years later, still in jail. We still got him."
Oh, he's still in jail in the book?
Still in jail in the book. You know what's terrible? The Previews magazine. The first thing I look for every single month, I go to the image section. I turn to the Walking Dead page because you get a lot of telling covers in Walking Dead. Sometimes they'll throw you
Yeah.
off, right? But I don't know if it was this month or maybe it was even 2 months ago's previews. The cover to Walking Dead, like 141 or 142, was Negan in his jail cell with the cell door open, which is not a good sign. You know what I'm saying? That's a major spoiler to put. And if that is not the case as to what's actually in the book, that's a terrible cover to make. You know?
Well, maybe they gotta like empty it. Like they don't have plumbing, right? So they gotta empty his toilet or whatever. So it's
They have to-
They
he
wouldn't
doesn't-
open his cell, dude.
Maybe
Come on.
they take him out to take a check. Who watches him?
He's in the bottom of like a common house. I guess that's their jail section, you know, of like their town hall or whatnot or infirmary. I'm not really positive where that jail cell is, but he's the only person in the jail cell. So,
But
and it being open, I mean, on the cover of a book, like, what do you think that he's getting out for some reason, you know?
Yeah, but to be fair, when you see what the preview is for it's always like one sentence.
Oh my god, one word
Yeah.
sometimes.
It says something happens. That's all it
yeah,
says.
it's basically
Escape.
just like it's like
redemption.
The one thing too is, well, you know, Corey, after I was like, I'm done with The Walking Dead, I'm not reading it anymore. I was like, you know what? I don't even need to read it. Every time it came in Wednesday morning, I opened up to the final page, and I was like, I'm not gonna let anyone tell me what happens. I'm gonna figure out what happens with the final page.
That's terrible, man.
We were gonna make a video based off of it, but then I realized that they changed it and everything's new now, so it's kind of different. To the point where I was just like, he's in jail. He's in jail. He's Carl likes that he's in jail, but they're friends.
But the friends.
Carl is now a man.
Oh my god, barely.
He got bar mitzvahed in
That annoyed me
a
when
sexual way.
he got his head blown off.
You know,
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
coming in the store that day or the next day after, and we were chatting about it, and I was like, man, I know it's not realistic. It's a comic book. Well, this book is supposed to be realistic, and the wound that kid suffered
Dude,
in the
half
book,
his face was missing. Pat,
he would
you
have been
remember that
dead.
one?
That, yeah.
His brain,
Yeah.
was high. It's a high up wound on
And
his
then,
skull.
and then the next issue, he has like an eye patch on.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
No painkillers. He's just talking a mile a minute. I would have been crying for the next
So
3 years.
for
you
the
know?
people who don't read the comic book, if you are a 100% TV show person, in the book, Carl gets shot the same way he gets shot. Well, not the same way. He gets shot when they end up at that the farm for, what was
He
it?
gets
I don't know.
shot in the
What was
stomach
it?
or something.
87 episodes.
Who shoots him?
One of the people on Herschel's farm, right?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Oh, on purpose?
The guys.
No,
No,
they're
No, it
hunting-
was an
hunting.
accident.
They're
You're
hunting a deer, and he
for
got caught with
deer.
a crossfire.
There's
Oh.
zombies everywhere, but he gets shot. Or did he get shot in the prison?
No, he got shot on the farm.
He
In
got
the
shot on the
woods.
farm,
When
yeah.
Was
they
he wearing
went to the farm
his
to help him out.
his stupid cowboy hat when he got shot?
Of course.
The first time?
Of course,
Yeah.
man.
Yes.
Well, then they knew what they were shooting at because that thing's huge. Okay, it wasn't a deer. They're like, dude, this is a kid in a hat.
No.
Go for it because I hate that hat.
Who knows? Maybe they thought it was just some like
I don't know.
southern steer made its way up north during the zombie apocalypse. But anyway, I imagine they all wear hats. But he gets shot, and in the same way, like in the show, he gets like a little hit to the shoulder, and they're like, "Oh no!" Half the dude's face blew off.
Dude,
in
it
the
was
book.
literally that panel, dude. Is literally you can
Disgusting.
see the
Yeah,
skin
Full
hang
page.
up.
Yeah. I remember.
It
I was like,
almost
oh
made
my
me
God.
feel bad for this character.
Yeah, and the next issue
Almost.
was like nothing. I think
Yeah.
maybe they didn't realize editorial wise, like, oh, that slipped by. I don't know, but that panel was.
Yeah.
Unless they had two panels, they put the wrong one in. I don't know.
I don't
but
think
it's-
that happens. If okay, Patrick, let me talk to you as an artist. So if you have to draw a little boy getting shot in the face,
Hopefully you never have to do
Yeah,
that, dude.
no, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you draw. Who knows? You have commissions. I may commission you. So Carl, shot in the head.
Yeah.
How? Okay, 10. Head is clean, shut off, cannon. Number 1, like I don't know. Let's say like a slingshot face.
A
Like,
BB gun,
oh,
BB gun.
yeah, he's really TO'd. Where did this fall, and where would you put it?
Well,
1 to 10. 10 is his head is
I
missing.
mean, he's still alive in the book at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So
I know.
where would
So
you put it?
If I'm
And
putting him like long term in the book, I'm probably not gonna do what they did. That was like pretty close to a 10. Half his face was gone.
I was like pumped. I was so
I
excited.
remember that day he was like, I was like, wow, that's it for Carl. He's dead. Corey's like, thank God. Oh, yeah, I've been waiting for that kid to go. That's not right, man.
See, what happened is they were just like, yeah, Corey's pumped. And he was like, Corey said what? He's like, write him back in. Once a TV show comes out, we're just going to keep this guy forever just to make sure Corey's pissed.
No, I just no. The prison parts of the book, the governor in the book, all that stuff was just perfect. Tyrese in the book I love him in the book.
Yeah, he's great.
Glenn is so consistent in the book,
character.
the way he writes him.
Glenn's consistent in the show too, from what I've seen too.
Yeah.
Glenn,
He really is. Yeah.
when you go like really close to who the character is at like the heart of it, Glenn stayed consistent the whole time. I feel like Maggie has too, except they're trying to give Maggie Andrea's story arc a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Is Maggie in the book? I don't remember.
Wow, you're fired.
I don't
Zapp
remember. I
Comics.
don't remember.
Yeah,
You
of
were,
course,
yeah, that's it.
Her and Glenn.
You
love
can find me
interests.
at David Zapp.
Where did she come? Was she on the farm?
She was
Yeah.
Herschel's daughter on the farm, and then when they
Still-
all leave there, she tags along.
I know.
remember, that issue?
But wasn't she taking care of kids? In the
had-
prison?
They had the. Oh,
No,
wait.
she
Little kids?
Sophia, who, if you watch the show, dies very, very early.
Yeah.
Sophia in the comics still
Sophia's
alive today. And
still
she's,
alive
Yeah, but
today.
isn't in the prison? Who?
She becomes Sophia's mother in a way. They're
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
their
I remember.
adopted
And I'm
parents.
sorry. I know who she
Yeah.
is now. I just don't remember her name. I know who she is. Okay.
But she's the
Mind
one.
you, I read that book that like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, but you know when they smash Glenn's head in and his wife gets really upset? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Maggie.
That's
And she's, reacting to a thing that happens.
Absolutely.
And I think she's acting appropriately.
The funny thing about this,
I agree.
Imagine if he came back the next one. Where they're like, wow, your eyes just pop right back in. Everything was fine.
now the Fear of the Walking Dead is a completely different cast, and was a different part of the country.
I think it's in L.A. or California at the very least.
That is so smart
Oh,
because people are like, oh, the title's stupid. All they want, it has Walking Dead in it. That's all that matters. So
Yeah,
when you look at a
pretty
DVR, you look anything up, do a Google search. As long as Walking Dead comes up, and like I know you said earlier, you're gonna have Walking Dead every week of the year.
A couple years from now, it's going to be Walking Dead in the spring, Walking Dead in the all summer long
Yeah.
to compete
Yeah.
with all the summer
And even if
shows,
it does
Walking Dead in
half the
fall.
ratings, it's a home run, and it's gonna do more than that because everybody's gonna watch it. Who's not
Absolutely.
gonna watch it?
It's genius, man.
And this, if you're like a big horror fan, like a zombie fan, this really goes back to like the roots of zombies and everything. Because we had Night of the Living Dead, and then when they split to those two camps between Romero and other guy.
Other guy, you said it, man.
I
That's
said it,
dude.
other guy, man. So that's why one person got the rights to Of the Living Dead, and then we got Of
John
the Dead.
Russo, right?
Yeah. So that's why.
Thank you,
where
Joe.
We got
I'm
the-
sorry. I knew it.
No,
I
I'm
met
glad
the
you
guy
said it.
one
I'm
time.
glad.
He was pretty cool.
I imagine he's pretty cool because he did the punk rock side of the zombies.
He did.
Because George Romero has everything of the Dead. That's where we got Day of the Dead, all the way up to I don't know the Diary of
Dawn
the
of the
Dead,
Dead, Day of the Dead,
Day of the Dead.
Survival of the Dead, Diary of the Dead,
Diary of the Dead was terrible though, but
Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead. That's the one with Paul. What's his name?
Luigi.
Godzilla. Yeah.
Got John Leguizamo.
John
Plus
Leguizamo
Dennis
in that
Hopper
one.
in there.
Oh
Come
my
on.
god, it was terrible. But you have to respect him. They call him like the Godfather of zombies. But Russo on the other side, he had Return of the Living Dead. He got the Of the Living Dead name, and that's really what zombies came from because people were looking for the Of the Dead, of the Living Dead. So they took that name and spawned from there. So from that first movie, it just grew out. And I mean, when you look at Walking Dead, they're trying to do the same thing. But even though it's not really like, I feel like The Walking Dead doesn't fit in as like a horror like icon anymore. I mean, you see them a little bit. There's all these horror conventions, especially the one in South Jersey that everyone's like crazy about. They get them in, but in like the hardcore horror fans, it still fits in as like more pop culture TV.
Well, not just that. But you can go like issue those even a zombie. You know what I mean? It's a zombie isn't really the
No. It's a
The hunter.
telenovela con muchos zombies. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Bien.
That means myth with many zombies in Spanish.
okay.
Yeah, ask your wife.
I should have known that. Like, I have no
Yeah.
idea what you just said.
Yeah.
I just
Un película.
did you know what he just said?
No, I don't know.
I took Spanish 3 times.
I took
so
Spanish 1 and 2. I know nothing. I'm married to a 100% Latina. I know nothing. I know the bad words
Nice.
and when her voice raises, and I'm in trouble. That's
So you
all I
know
know.
to hide. That's
Yeah, I know
something
to
they
hide.
taught us in Spanish 1 as well.
Wow.
Now, what's
Anywho.
that? What's the zombie one? I don't know if it's Return of the Living Dead when
Return of
when
the
they
Living
when it
Dead.
rains and it
Yes.
when they
Yeah.
burn them. Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
is that Return?
Still my favorite zombie movie of all
When
time.
I was a kid, I used to watch it all the time.
It's a good
I
one.
was like 8
Best
years
one.
old, 10. I used to watch it
Best
all the
one.
time.
There
They like
are,
burn the bodies, and you ever see it?
Yeah, I think
And it would rain, and
So the whole point of that movie is that they were like, yeah, Night of the Living Dead happened and it was crazy and the government covered it up. And they're like, well, how's that possible? They're like, check this out. We got some of the zombies in our basement Because we work at, like, I don't know, Formaldehyde Central, where we just, like, kind of, it's like, look at it, we have half dogs and stuff. It's pretty rad. And then, of course, punk rock kid who wants to meet his friend bumps it open. It opens up. Sludge zombie comes out. It gets up into the air. It rains.
It's a wrap.
And, like,
They come out of the grave when it rains.
well, it's the best because it's a bunch of punk rock kids, and they're like, yeah, you're getting out of work. Work's lame. We're going to hang out in the cemetery. Hopefully there's no zombie apocalypse right now.
No, it was
Great
an awful
movie.
movie, but I enjoyed it as a kid.
Well, no, that's also the first movie that coined the brain eating from zombies. They never did that until that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See,
They
that movie,
people.
that movie I thought was funny. It didn't scare me.
It is.
Yeah.
Children of the Corn bothered me.
Oh my God, Children of the Corn, dude. Easily cried my eyes out
Except
a
at the
million
end with
times.
the Malachi thing when
Oh
he's on
my
the effects.
Nightmare.
But when they're walking through the cornfield at the beginning with the suitcase, you just see the blood. And then when they go to the diner and they locked the doors,
Oh God.
I was watching it like 6, 7 years old. That freaked me out.
Anytime I saw a sickle after that movie, I was
Yeah.
like, no, get away.
Wait, anytime you're seeing a sickle in modern day, I'd be nervous.
Where are you if
anyway.
you see a sickle?
Yeah.
You ever seen Children of the Corn?
Nah.
The first
a long
one.
time
Don't
ago.
The
bother.
first one.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Pat's never seen The Crow.
I've not seen it.
Whatever.
That's a great movie. What do you mean,
Yeah, dude.
whatever?
What do you mean, whatever, bro?
I imagine, like, Pat's gonna show up at work. He'd be like, "Hey guys, I saw The Crow," and he only wears leather trench coats. From He's like, "Changed my life, bro." Like, it's not that kind of movie.
The Crow is a
It's
great
a movie that people haven't seen. You'll show them and be like, "Wow, thank you."
It's a
But,
fun
like,
movie.
I know it is a fun movie.
Ernie
And
Hudson,
especially-
man.
It is. It's a great movie.
Winston
but like,
Zedmore, bro. Come
Of
on.
course.
You know him?
I've heard of him. I'm aware, but I think it's one of those movies that, you know, there's so many different cult movies like that, and that's what makes me think about Walking Dead. And is that going to be a cult movie? Is that going to be in the horror culture going forward, or is it going to be like, you know, whatever Netflix looks like in 20 years? Is that going to be
No, I
when
think
Friends
Walking
shows
Dead
up?
is not. I don't think it's going to be in that horror thing. It's too mainstream.
But is it going to be the next Friends? Is it going to be maybe? I don't even think it fits into that, like, X-Files, like Twin Peaks kind of.
It's
No,
bigger than that. You know
certainly not,
why?
dude.
X Files was
I don't think
big,
so.
but it wasn't like a ratings buster. This thing here is like breaking records every time it airs
It's
for
a
cable.
monster.
Yeah. So I don't know. I
It's
mean,
insane.
it's. I think this is the first horror anything.
Like for example,
to really
season
make
one.
it this far when you think about it.
If you think about it, season one, we had Zapp had a commercial on season one. That's how it was. It was like a little show.
I got so pumped when I saw
Yeah,
that.
we
I
had
was
a- we
like,
had a-
oh my God,
we had
babe,
a-
look, it's Zapp coming.
Yeah,
We're on The Walking Dead today.
Yeah, we had the Zapp because it was one of those packages. You know, you can pick the whatever the time slot, and we were in there, and it was like a new little show. And now, I mean, it's like a major. I mean, it's a.
This ain't your daddy's comic books fan. Boy.
No, I you know what it is though? Like, zombies were never like zombie movies never do really
No,
well.
of course not.
So why is
Really
this
haven't.
one? I think it's because they focus on the people. I think that's why
Of
this is a
course.
big deal.
Well, that's the
And it's
thing
not really.
too.
I mean, it's kind of horror, but it's not. I
It's
don't look at it as horror.
It's not. It's a soap opera with zombies, dude.
And
Like
and
I
the
said.
thing is, when you think about the book, that's really all it was as well, and that was a big deal because, I mean, Joe, you really picked it up because it was zombies. I know your story of Zapp Comics because Corey tells it.
all right, well
Why did you show up back at Zapp Comics? and
I'll
start
tell you
buying
right now.
books
There's a
again?
pharmacy right next door. Little Joe was sick one day, so he had to wait. He had to wait for his prescription to get ready. So he stumbled into Zapp Comics.
what did I see on the
And
wall?
he saw Marvel Zombies #1.
Yeah.
He said, "What is that? I need to have it. I want to get it tattooed on my leg."
Done.
And the rest is history.
So
I saw that and I was like, Marvel Zombies. Wow, who's Robert Kirkman? Learned all about him, read all his stuff, Walking Dead, and that's the story, man.
well, not only that, the story ends. There's also Super Dinosaur.
Oh my God! Listen,
So there's a book called Super Dinosaur that Robert Kirkman writes, and there is one person who reads it.
we get
Hey!
one.
It's Joe.
We
Watt.
get one copy at the shop, and Joe Watt gets it.
Yeah,
I got
I think
them all. I got the Battle Pope. I got the Jubilees. Okay, got Marvel Zombies 1, Marvel Zombies 2. I got all the Kirkman
You have
stuff.
Irredeemable Ant-Man.
Of course, I
I
have
love
Astonishing
that, too.
Wolfman.
Yes.
I got the Tech Jacket. I don't. What other books?
Was it
is
Brit?
Brit got the Brit.
Invincible's great.
Don't read Invincible. That's the only Kirkman.
How do you not read Invincible?
You
Invincible's
always
great.
say that to me too.
Invincible's so good.
I got too many superheroes. That's why the zombies was a nice relief from all the capes.
You don't
know?
buy any superhero books. You buy Harley Quinn
Well,
and
I
everything
used
Miss
to.
Marvel's in.
I used to, no, I
But
gave
not
up.
anymore.
I gave up on the big superhero comic books. You know, the Avengers.
Pat, did you read Invincible?
It's great.
Yeah, see, Pat likes it.
I'm sure it is, and trust me, when I'm 50 years old and I need something else to read, absolutely Invincible.
And that's
is
the
top of
most
list.
words Pat's ever said on this podcast in a row.
Yeah,
Probably.
I do. It's great.
BF Comment's great.
Pat, Walking Dead, favorite character, comic book.
Glenn.
Glenn!
Yeah.
TV show.
Glenn.
Wow. Oh my god.
Well, okay, so which Glenn would you have to pick? Which?
Well, he's just like that everyday guy in both versions. Like, you know, he's like pretty relatable. I think he's just like, was he a pizza delivery guy before it all happened, anyways? So
I'd
Yeah.
agree with that too.
Pretty cool.
I think out of everybody, he is the most relatable.
Yeah, and he's most reliable too.
Sure.
You know?
yeah.
Pat, most sadistic villain in Walking Dead the comic book, is it Negan or is it the Governor?
You know, I didn't catch up to the end of the Negan story, so I don't know exactly what happened at the end with him. But
But you
Governor
got
was
an
pretty bad. Yeah.
Wait, you read through 100?
Yeah, I read.
You got a good idea.
You
Then.
got an idea
You,
about
you know,
works,
you know what it is? I think
Yeah.
Governor, because Negan's just like a bully.
He is a big bully.
He's a blowhard.
Governor was just crazy.
Governor's just like, yo, man, I basically created you. So like, Governor was deep. I don't, you know,
Sure, no, you're right.
Governor was messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. See, the Governor had many layers to him. Negan is just, you get what you see. He's a brute.
He's a brute.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Negan too is that I feel
Is it Negan or is it Negan?
Negan.
Okay,
As I've
cool.
seen it
I will
pronounced
switch it
on the
from now
internet,
on.
Okay.
the webs, on the sky.
Well, we're on the internet now, so we can show them what's what. But
What?
Negan, I feel like, has a sort of like justice scale, and I feel it was happening the same time that we were seeing the Governor on TV, and I feel like Governor
Oh, yeah.
on television they just tried to parallel Rick, like really hard. I feel like he was
Yeah.
bad. People were like, "You see him? He's the worst dude ever." And I'm like, "You should read the comic book
Yeah.
because
Oh,
it's like that's somebody that if they existed and it was like push this button and they will die and everyone they know, I'd be like, dude, give me the button." In the show, but like in the show, watching it, I feel like if you read the comic books before you watch the show, or let's say you watch the show right now, I really urge you to read these books, then rewatch it. You're gonna see that character in a different light, because it's not that he was a good guy in the show, but you can justify certain things that he does a little bit more. And then I think what they were going for the people who read is what Rick does isn't that different from what the Governor is doing for his people. I mean, there was the points where, you know, he just loses his mind and goes crazy, but he was a person in the show. I don't think he was as much of a person, more so a villain, and like he was like the Hitler of The
Yeah.
Walking Dead. Then.
Yeah, well, in the book, once people saw his colors, it was like over. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't hide it
Mhm.
anymore. He's like, okay, especially when, I mean, that panel with Lori and the baby. I mean, man, I remember that was this was before the book was big. I remember it was like I remember reading. I'm like, wow. Like I knew it was really heavy. And Rick's like, he lost everything. And he lost half of Carl, but he kept him.
Yeah.
You know?
Corey hates Carl.
I did. You know what is that kid?
I
He's
hate
just
Carl.
so annoying. I don't know what it is about that kid. And then they picked the worst actor to play him.
No. They picked the worst actor to play Andrea. And that's the thing, too, because
I liked her, man. I don't know what he's talking about.
In the show,
Yeah.
awful.
It's one of those things where I always feel bad when I bash an actor playing it, because they might be like really nice and likable, but they annoy me so much as that character. I
Yeah.
hate them. Like the kid Carl, he's probably the nicest kid. I'd probably take him to a ball game, but seeing on
Take him to a
TV,
ball
he
game,
just
bro.
bothered me. You know what I
hey, you
mean?
want to go to a game with balls? Like
What? No,
but-
like my nephew or something. You know?
Whatever. But Andrea so least favorite character in the show, Andrea, 100%.
Well, no, Andrea / Lori / Carl.
I didn't mind Lori as much.
I'm going
Andrea
too.
Andrea was around longer, right?
Andrea.
I don't know.
Oh,
No, they were all
God.
around. But I gave up too early. It doesn't matter.
Well, she became like the Governor's boyfriend, and to the point where he's like, "Look at all my heads," and she's like, "That's interesting, but you're still probably nice."
Well, that's
But,
what
like-
bothered me. In the book, she is so powerful and so strong.
Yeah.
In the show, they made her like an idiot.
I know.
That's the thing too. I feel like now with society, they've changed so many things to the point where, when it comes to comic books, when it comes to TV, anything, there's so many awesome, strong female characters. Andrea was so reliant, and
Well, in the book, I
in
love
the-
her in the book.
In the book, she did what she wanted to do. Dale taught her who to be after her sister died, and then she took it from there. And she was just
She's a sniper.
she was a bamf, and she just killed whatever she wanted, did whatever she wanted, and did the right thing by the people she cared about. in the show, she was like, "You seem nice. I like your eye patch." But like, it was stupid to the point I was watching X-Files while I'm watching the show, and I'm like, "I hate you, Andrea." And then I get to an episode, and she shows up. She's like, "What's going on, guys? I'm also working at the FBI." And I was like, "I hate you. I hate you in the '90s, and I hate you now."
People at home listening to the podcast, if you're unfamiliar with the comic book, we lost Andrea really early in the show. In the book, she is the sharpshooter in the watchtower at the Alexandria Safe Zone. So they've kind of, in the show, to replace that, they've given elements of Andrea to Sasha, and they're setting her up as the sharpshooter. Maybe she's good with the sniper rifle and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you can 100% bank on her being up in that watchtower in the next season, being the sharpshooter.
See, I give the show
magnitude.
a little bit of a pass because they always watch the budget, and they always make people like if somebody's obviously the more they're on, the bigger paycheck they get. So they tend to will get killed off that way. Aside from like Rick or something.
Yeah.
So I do kind of give it a pass. Like you said, they're gonna bring another character in and kind of make her the Andrea character.
The show does a good job with them.
Yeah, because they watch the budget, which
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever. But
Because
that's kind of what
they
happens.
don't sacrifice. Like if somebody gets killed off, they don't sacrifice a major event that involves that character. They just give it to somebody else.
Which is good.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially that. Imagine if they went through, they're like, let's try this with Andrea. And then they're just like, yeah, that was terrible. Kill her. Kill her now. Do this. Sasha, good. Bring her in. But I guess, so when it comes to like, we have a very different set of characters when it comes to the show and the comic. So we asked you, Pat, your favorite in each. Joe, I know you are up to date on both.
Yeah.
I think you, when it comes to everything that we have, you are the most current. You know the most about it. Favorite in each.
Favorite in each. On the comic book, it's tough because Jesus and Ezekiel are
I
both awesome
love
characters.
Jesus.
They both nail it. They're both cooler than Rick. Love reading them. They don't use them either enough anymore these days. Ezekiel just came back. You got to see him. This was like the first time we've seen Ezekiel in this. I think it was 139 that just came out last week.
And for the people who don't, because we don't have Ezekiel yet in the show, give him a.
Ezekiel is a portly black man with a giant white grandfatherly beard and giant white dreadlocks, and he has a pet tiger.
Yeah.
I don't want to say any more because there's a lot of stuff, and
It's,
I don't want to ruin it.
You ever listen to TV on the radio?
The band?
Yes.
I'm aware of it. I'm not a fan. But
There's a dude, and he has the beard, and he has that. I imagine.
he looks like Ezekiel?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen to them. The new album's great. Anyway, keep going.
And Jesus looks like Jesus, and they're both great. Both great characters. They're not part of the original crew. That's kind of why I like them, because there was a point in time in this comic book where things were getting pretty stale, you know? and you needed some really, lifelike, pretty interesting characters to keep the reader interested in. Ezekiel and Jesus were both great. In the show, I don't know. I guess I'm going with Daryl, or because he's great.
Daryl?
Because he's not in the book, and I kind of like
True.
that. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
They really pulled Daryl. It's unbelievable. We haven't talked about Daryl yet. How many minutes? We got a lot of minutes.
You know why?
half an
'Cause
hour. We haven't
Daryl
talked about
time. Let's
Daryl
hear it.
yet.
Go ahead, Corey.
Well,
I talked about Daryl.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't make any sense. I told you, guy has a crossbow because he's like he wants to be stealth and quiet,
yeah.
and then yet he drives a chopper down the middle of a
Okay.
highway
Let's take
with,
this.
with cars all crashed, zombies laying in them.
Let's take the Doppler effect and the sound spectrum out
Like,
of
this
this.
is my problem with zombie stuff. This is my biggest problem with zombie stuff, okay? This is why I have a hard time getting into it. Yell at me all you want. They always show you, what you're supposed to do. They never, and if it's, the littlest cut or scrape can get you infected, you got to cover yourself up. These guys should be covered head to toe
That kind
in
of
something.
bothers me too in the show.
But they don't ever do that. They just walk around like they're going to go play ball in the corner.
Rolled up sleeves.
Because you ain't going
Yeah.
to sell Daryl Dixon to the girls with him all covered up.
I
You're
know
gonna-
that. I
Bro.
understand that. I do understand. I get that. I know
They are in Georgia.
visually
too,
it looks... It
They
doesn't
are
matter.
in Georgia. Good point,
Yeah.
Pat. That's a great point. It
That's a
is
good
100 degrees out.
Yeah, you go in the
At
desert.
nighttime.
Desert, you got to cover yourself up.
Where do you get that vest? It
Mosquitoes.
looks like it's like a knockoff.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta protect yourself,
Corey
dude.
Brown.
Yeah.
What if they bite the zombie and then they bite you?
No, but how bad would you feel if there's a zombie apocalypse and you die of malaria?
Yeah.
You
Yo,
get
no, wait a
bird
minute.
flu.
He just brought up a really good point. What if the mosquitoes bite the zombies and then bite you? Can we make any kind of ruling on this here?
I know this is a nerdy podcast, but let's not take it that far.
No, it's not even nerdy. That's called every
No,
day.
well, let's talk about that. Is that a thing?
You always hear about
Well,
the
no.
West Nile
So
virus,
the
stuff like
thing
that.
about them is that everybody's already infected. They already went over that in both the show and the in the book.
So it's a bite and it's not a transfer of blood, or right?
Well, everybody's infected. They won't tell you why, but that's why when you die, no matter what happens, if you die of if I just punch your head in right now, which I wouldn't, I like you a lot.
Oh, thank you.
But
what would you
Appreciate
even
you
you
guys.
would wake up as a zombie.
Yeah.
In the show
Okay.
and the book.
So you're already infected.
So
Oh, okay.
everybody's infected for some reason. They don't know why. If you get a straight, you get a bite and you're dying quicker, then I don't know. And they keep it ambiguous, which is what's good about it.
But I thought the scratches and the bites were. I mean, it's not that it's not the idea of getting scratched or bitten. It's the idea of getting the germs directly into your blood
Yeah.
flow. You know what I'm saying? So if a mosquito did bite a zombie with that, but you're right. We do. In the show and the comic, you already have the infection inside of you. It just awakens once you've passed away.
So I get it. But to me, the mosquito thing, I'm sorry. It's a real world thing.
Yeah. No, you're right, man.
It's gotta something
Movie
happened. I don't care if
magic.
they address it or not. Something happens.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
More importantly, we've gone through a half an hour of this podcast. We haven't even discussed Daryl yet.
Listen, I like that Daryl's separate from the book. He's never going to go into the book, and I know
Yeah.
Kirkman said that, which is I think is perfect. You don't need that character. Remember, they kind of teased it in the '90s. They had a cover where it had a crossbow, and everybody thought it was going to be Daryl,
Oh yeah.
and it wasn't.
For a second, I think it said the 90s.
Not the
It's
90s. Issue-
1996. They were ready.
The issue 96 or whatever it was. I'm not sure what number it was, but they
Yeah.
teased it. Everybody was going, or maybe it was 101.
Definitely in that area.
Yeah,
He
they were
never showed up though.
No,
Doesn't
which is
matter.
cool. So I mean, yeah. Pat, what's your thought on Daryl? You said about 3 words tonight, which is more than last time.
He said
Yeah, I don't
8
know.
words.
I really don't. He's not my favorite or anything, but I could see the appeal to people. Everybody, all my friends that watch the show are pretty big fans of him and stuff. I guess he's just.
Well, I know he's a very likable, even in person, he's a very likable guy. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
helps. You know,
Like
he's,
Dave said, he's from Boondock Saints. Which,
yeah, which apparently is a chick flick.
Chick flick.
Chick-
I've never
I
heard
was-
that as being a chick flick.
I was pumped when he was in there. I'm like, this guy's going to be tough. Then I saw him, and I didn't like him up front. I'm like, oh, he's just some dumb racist. And I think that was his original point. I don't think he was supposed to make it this far.
Well, he's so popular, he had to
Yeah.
make it this far.
But I don't think they expected what they were going to get.
Yeah.
Especially with Daryl. And to the point where I think, what was it, season, maybe early, well, actually season 2, when they're looking for Sophia, he was just like, dude, I have a heart too. And then it was just kind of oh, you have a heart, but you're a racist. And he's just like, what are you talking about, racist? I'm just a nice guy. And they're like, oh, you're just a nice guy. And then once that whole Merle Durrell connection.
Merle Durrell.
That's what my brother always calls it. I love that. He'd be like, who you like, Merle or Durrell? Because that's all they say to each other. He's like, Merle, this guy hanging out there. And he's like, well, Durrell, you people really care about you.
Oh man.
They couldn't speak English.
How about people that we, I know you guys aren't all caught up on Walking Dead the book, but you can do the same thing for the show. How about characters that will never die, will never go away? When I think of those, I think of the core, Rick, Carl, Michonne. Andrew's going to go eventually, you know what I'm saying? Maggie eventually.
I honestly
Oh.
think if the book plays out the way it is, I think Andrea would be the last one to die.
Really?
Yeah.
What is your prediction?
No, I'm just saying if
Oh.
I envision the way the book was and the characters and their strengths, I would think Andrea would be the one that would survive everything. 'Cause
I-
Rick, he's too emotional. I mean, I don't know if he is now, but in the earlier issues, he was.
No, he's a completely chill Zen guy now in the books. He's just sits back and he's the chief. Everyone grows the crops.
Yeah,
and
but the thing
makes
is,
the
though, I
ammo,
could
he
see
just
someone
watches.
killing him, though.
Okay.
You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? So,
For sure.
More so-
Carl's untouchable. They're not going to kill Carl. They obviously
Well-
tried. It didn't happen.
That's what I see happening. I mean, more so than who's going to die, I see who's going to survive. Because they jumped forward 5 years, I can see them jump the next huge step. I can see them doing a next generation where everybody's dead and this is just Carl taking what he's learned from the past characters and going forward.
I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah, wow.
That's too much. Because you can't. I mean, Pat, what would you do if you open up a book and everybody was dead except for Carl?
Not everybody.
I don't know.
I know you
It could be cool because after a while, it might get stale.
Yeah.
Wait, are you
But-
saying what can you do with a book that you start off and everyone's dead? You can call it The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
No, I mean those characters.
But I feel like in The Walking Dead, none of the characters get to die off panel or off screen or something. So we'll see them all die at some point.
That's
They
true.
won't jump off that far ahead where all of them are dead.
As long as
Yeah.
the main characters like that do not die from a zombie, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? Because it's just lame. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go by the lake and then
Yeah, it's
get a chomped in the neck or something.
Very true.
That damn lake.
On the show, it's weird because people. What if one of them ends up in a Marvel movie and it gets big, and then all of a sudden they're a high-paid actor, they have to leave? Like that's the shows. It's like you can't really say anything about it because it's all about pretty much contracts too.
Yeah,
That's why like a lot of people think like with Rick might die before Daryl. It depends on the money. I don't know.
And I always talk to folks who watch the show, didn't watch the comic, and I talk with a lot of people like that that are fans of the show, and I always tell them about stuff that happened in the comic, and they say, "But the TV show is different. They don't do the same thing." It's like, I know they don't do the same thing in the comic, but they are hitting a lot of the same plot points and whatnot.
Yeah, even though it kind of takes a couple different turns, they usually get back on the same road.
They're even squeezing the characters in, like from the Alexandria so far on the show has been like dead on with Jessie, who's getting abused by her husband, and Rick's there to sweep her off her feet, and pretty much the same scenario going down in the books, so. What were we talking about? I forgot already. I had somewhere I was going with that.
No, we're talking about who's gonna die, who's not gonna die, and
So this is the really big thing because I know we're talking about. Corey told me they were cutting the budget. They've been making a show that's how many people are watching it?
15.8 million people watch the final,
and they're making it at less of a budget than they've been in the past. So if they really need to cut these budgets of these characters that have been getting paid the same since the first season. Let's say they have Rick and they have Daryl. Who are they going to kill? Because you think they're going to foot the budget for both of these characters, or do you think they're going to kill Rick over Daryl?
Well, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be you got to look at it like a major sports team. Okay, you have the best player. He's going to be a free agent. Do you break the bank to keep him and give him a $300 million contract, or you let him go and just hope that it wasn't a mistake? And because the thing is, you give them that contract, you have nothing left for anybody else, especially if you have a salary cap. These shows have salary caps because they put them on themselves. Obviously, you always see there's always holdouts with like Big Bang Theory. They get like $1 million an episode now, or whatever. That creeps up on you. So especially when you have 4, 5, 6 major stars. So if that happens, that's why I think Fear of the Walking Dead. It's all nobodies, just thrown in there,
smart,
with a title that people are going to watch. So these guys are getting paid nothing the first season.
Oh yeah.
If it gets huge, they can just say, okay, we're done with LA. We're going to go to Chicago and get a new cast. Fear of the Walking Dead, they can jump around. It doesn't always have to be the same people. Where are Walking Dead? Where are they now in the show? Where are they? Are they in Washington D.C.?
In the show, no, they're in Virginia, the Alexandria Safe.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But you didn't answer the question. Who do you think? And this is
I
know you don't watch the show, but you see the
I look
Funko,
at it in a business
you
way.
see the Funko Pop vinyls, what sells there. You see the figures that come from McFarlane. You see the sales and the people who come in and you know what they're buying. Well, who would you say
would die?
If you were to make this choice right now, Rick or Daryl in the show?
Who would die? I think Daryl would die only because he has going to have more of a career after the show than Rick would.
I agree with that. Love Actually, believe it or not, didn't really.
No, but I'm saying though, is Daryl
Walmart bin.
Daryl, I can see him branch back into movies. Rick, the guy who played Rick, I mean, he was in Love Actually. He had a small role. He was just like playing like a guy that was falsely in love. But
that was the worst role. Everybody had a happy ending. His was like, yeah, you're still gonna be miserable, dude. Go, hope everybody gets a zombie apocalypse and you become like important.
But you know what I mean. So it's different with the show. I cannot look at it like that because once, like I said, some of these guys get cast in movies, the show's over because they can't compete with the budgets.
Something to keep in mind, especially for you folks at home listening in on the Zapp Comics radio podcast, is that in the 10th anniversary #1 Walking Dead that came out, I think they debuted it at the NY Con last year. I believe that was when it came out. They posted some cool extra stuff in there, and one of the bonus materials was Kirkman's original type pitch to Image for the book itself, right? And they're celebrating 10 years, so they celebrated the origins of his ideas. And in there, and you can assume this for the show too, as well. That's my belief anyway. It says the plot of The Walking Dead, like the original synopsis, is the story of a man named Rick Grimes who becomes the leader of the new world after a zombie, infestation or zombie plague, right? So you got to keep that in mind. We were talking about who's going to die, Daryl or Rick. I'm like almost 99.9999999% sure that Rick. This story is actually about him.
That's a lot.
There's going to be some kind of. I know, right, dude?
Yeah.
There's gonna be some not a twist at the end, but like at the end of this, once this comic book is done being told, once this show's being told, it's gonna be Rick's transition from becoming like a Dale, then he turned into Shane, and then he eventually becomes like this very zen like leader, and let's grow crops and make our own ammo. We'll trade with each other, you know. And he's a very fair share kind of dude. You get what you give kind of guy, you know.
Then he gets assassinated, and then it's all done.
That's that is possible, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. No, I agree with you.
If it comes down to like Rick versus another character, you can always bet.
No, in the
comic
book
and the show.
in the book, Rick
Always-
I think Andrea's the strongest character to
Yeah.
Linda, but I think Rick will survive because of the way the story plays out.
I'm pretty sure the story inadvertently is about Rick. So that was the original pitch. At least at the very least for just the comic books, you will count on seeing him until at least the last issue. You know, unless there's like a epilogue.
I don't know if
issue,
there's gonna be a
where-
last issue. This thing might just go on forever.
What do you think? I'm throwing my bet in at 200, dude. I think I'll be spent at that point anyway. No, I won't. I'll keep buying every
No, I was
issue.
spent at I was spent at 100 because to me I was like done with the story. Like Pat, are you gonna read this forever? You think?
I'm taking a break right now, but yeah, I'll pick it back up again and keep up.
Well,
with
this is
it.
something too. I read it in trade.
Yeah,
How do you read it right
same
now?
Thing.
Do you read
I
it?
read it in trade, yep.
Yeah.
So, I just, when a couple more come out, I'll probably pick them up. And
You know, listen, it reads better as a trade because I remember when I caught up with all the trades, I was reading by issue. It's not broken up by issue. You know, it's like this. It's one
flowing,
story
yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
got up, so it reads better as a trade. Because I
definitely,
hated reading it by issue because I'm like, I can't do this. I need to.
An issue's not enough. Like
No.
you need more.
The
So.
torture of the month. The
Yeah.
month is great though, man. I'm like, no. Ah!
Yeah.
So well, now we know why Walking Dead's so big. Everybody loves it. Like, 12-year-olds like it, grandparents like it, parents like it because it's not like it's not like a little bubble. It's everybody.
Everybody.
You know what I mean? So everybody. A lot of people never even touch the book, which is fine. They just like the show.
You just brought up the coolest thing. I want a podcast done by like grandparents, just
Do
talking
it.
about The Walking Dead. Grandparents out there listening to this, this is what I want.
No, I mean, like, it's one of those things. You watch it with your dad, right, Pat?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, he likes it.
Your dad's old enough to be a grandfather.
Oh God, he could.
You know what I mean? He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, hurry up, Pat.
Yeah. Did he tell you to say that?
No.
Oh, man.
No, you know what I mean, though? Like, you know what I mean? Just,
Yeah, I got you.
and we get kids that come in here, they're like 12, 13 years old, they want to pick up the book, and I'm like,
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's okay, he watches the show. I'm like, all right, this ain't the show.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Here's the governor.
It's been
Wow.
pretty PC since 100 though. What I've read,
Yeah.
at least.
Well.
Joe, what? PC.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
100? Yeah.
From 127 to the time jump, there's some kind of cool stuff that goes down. Though.
Nice.
Just saying.
Can't wait for that
Okay.
trade to come out.
So,
yeah,
all right, well, that was it for Walking Dead. Again, Joe, thanks for coming on. I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Pat, I don't know what to say to you. I just wish you'd say something back to me.
Okay.
He talks a bunch.
Okay.
And I swear to you, Pat's here the whole time. He doesn't leave. He's always here.
He
He just
talked a
I'm
bunch.
here.
That's good.
I like Glenn.
In the show or the book?
Both.
Who's your least favorite character in the show?
It was Andrea.
How about the book?
I don't know. There is no characters that I can remember. I just didn't really like. I guess Carl.
That boy.
And
Wow.
early on, yeah, but even in the show though, like they kind of like he's not on the show that much anymore, so he's like fine, you know.
Carl's on the show much?
Like he is, but like he's not like constantly in it, you know. Like
Oh, okay.
like he wasn't.
He's still there. No, I'm good.
I like Carl though. He's
Eugene.
oh yeah.
In the book,
Eugene.
I hated
yeah,
that
yeah.
guy.
All right, yeah, I'll go Eugene.
Like, not only does he have a mullet, but he's also lying.
Oh, he was the one that had that fake radio and he was...
Yeah.
Yeah, he was no good.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
yeah, I haven't read the book. in a
Yeah,
while,
you're
so-
gonna lie to everyone and have a mullet? 2 strikes. You're done.
yeah. It's not
You're
good.
done.
Quick fun fact: for like 10 months straight, I would come into the store on New Comic Day on Wednesday, and I would say, "Corey, anything crazy happened in Walking Dead?" Because I would assume he's read it before I'd come in on my lunch break to buy it. And at least 10 months in a row, he said, "Yeah, Carl died." And I said, "Oh man, you're kidding me!" Kid never died. Just messing with me.
Still there.
I was messing with myself. I was like, one of those things I was hoping
Yeah.
it was true, but it wasn't. So
One day, he's gonna be like, Corey, what have you been up to? And he's gonna be like, I won the lottery. And everything's great.
Corey and Zapp up for anything except for Carl's life.
Yes. Remember that? Up for anything. Get ready to buy the
I
t-shirts.
explained it to you. All right?
You did a
Enough.
terrible job. Corey and Zapp, up for anything.
Oh, God. Just...
Take us away. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah,
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy.
I'm up for it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Pat, say bye.
Bye.
Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. Zapp Comics Radio